A boot struck the riverbed and sent water splashing over cracked leather. An arrow slammed through his canteen. He spun and drew. 3 more arrows ripped past his chest. He dropped low. The cliff face split above him. Stone hammered his shoulder. He crawled toward the saddlebag. A black shape moved under the water. The horse screamed and collapsed sideways. A sharp pull yanked his leg into the stream. He reached for a root. His fingers slipped. Something wrapped around his ankle. It tightened. He kicked once and gasped. His boot tore loose. He spun onto his back. A second shape rose. It opened its mouth. He grabbed the knife, but his hand locked midair. He dragged the mule past the cracked adobe wall. One boot slipped. He caught himself and limped into the courtyard. Dust stuck to the sweat on his jaw. His tongue was thick. He looked toward the doorway. A man sat beneath the arch, skin like dried hide, lips still, eyes burned shut. He didn't turn, didn't flinch, didn't move. The cowboy stepped forward. One hand stayed near his belt. His voice cracked when he spoke, asked where the ridge trail led, said he was heading west, said he needed water and distance. The old man turned his head toward the sun. His mouth opened slowly, voice like paper tearing. He asked which water the cowboy had taken. The cowboy paused, said it was a creek, unmarked. Nothing strange. The old man tilted his head lower. His words slowed. He said if that was true, then keep riding. But if it was false, it would follow. The cowboy's jaw twitched. He glanced over his shoulder. The mule snorted. The old man kept speaking. He said, "Ride until you see bone pass the bone. Do not stop when it calls your name." The cowboy scowled. He stepped closer. His boots echoed off the broken stone. He asked again about the trail, demanded it. The old man said no trail mattered if the water saw him, said wings had once flown here, but never returned. The cowboy spat, said he didn't believe in campfire stories, said all he needed was the trail. The old man didn't blink, couldn't. He just raised one hand, pointed through the arch toward the open basin beyond. The cowboy yanked the mule's rope. The animal froze. Its legs locked. It would not move. The cowboy pulled harder. The mule brayed once, then stepped through. He mounted fast, winced. His legs still burned from the fall. He gritted his teeth and kicked twice. The mule trotted. Dust curled behind. The courtyard faded. He did not look back. Behind him, the old man remained still. Then his lips moved. No breath, no chant, just one long whisper buried into sand. A faint tremor passed beneath the broken tiles. From the far columns, a shadow slid across the stone. It did not rise. It crawled low, latching onto cracks and edges. The old man smiled. Not wide, not cruel, just a shape his face remembered. The whispers didn't stop. The sand shifted like it hurt him. The cowboy rode farther into the basin, didn't glance back, didn't hear the soft click behind the stones, didn't feel the ripple that followed behind the hoofbeats. The whisper faded only when the sun touched the edge of the mission's broken roof. By then, the cowboy was alone again, but not unwatched. The cowboy's arm shook as he pulled the reins. He dismounted beside the remains of a long dead fire ring, scattered ash, no smoke. 3 broken arrows stuck out from the hard earth. A blanket was half buried in the dust. One corner moved with the wind. He stepped closer. There lay the scout, one arm outstretched and twisted backward at the joint, the other gone up to the elbow, buried deep in sand. His skin held tight to the bone, dry as old paper, mouth open, teeth cracked, eyes gone, no flies, no smell. The cowboy knelt. He didn't touch the body, not yet. His gaze followed the strange symbols carved into the rocks nearby, jagged shapes, repeated lines. One handprint with fingers splayed wide. He rose and stepped back once. The mule turned its head and watched the body too, its ears pressed flat. The cowboy bent and unfastened the scout's rifle. Wood darkened with oil, barrel clean, a single round still chambered. He took it slow, held it with both hands, checked the weight. No sound but the wind. He looked once more at the symbols, then mounted without a word, rode out, never turned back. The sun touched the edges of the low hills. He built a fire with dry brush and thornwood. The mule stood tied to a mesquite trunk, still breathing hard, still watching the dark. He ate nothing, just sat near the flame, face raw with heat, eyes fixed on the dark between trees. The wind had stopped. A sound stirred, not leaves, not hooves, not bird or branch. Movement, low to the ground, too smooth, too steady. It crawled. The shape was hunched, elbows dragged, head close to earth. It stopped 30 feet from the fire. The cowboy reached slow. Rifle in his hands now, safety off. The fire cracked louder. The logs split. The thing stayed still. No breath, no shift, no noise. He raised the barrel, sighted center, fired. The flash lit everything for a second. His ears rang. His shoulder jolted. He blinked against the smoke. The fire swayed. The mule reared. The cowboy stepped back, rifle still raised. There was nothing. No body. No blood. No shape. The fire crackled. The mule stomped once. His heartbeat slowed. He looked down. The round was spent. The wind had not returned. The dark stayed close, pressed against the edge of the light. Unmoving. He did not sit again that night. He watched. He waited. He kept the rifle across his knees until the sun rose. He woke with his hand still gripping the rifle. The fire was out. Only black ash marked where it had been. He stood slow. Bones cracked, muscles stiff. The mule shifted behind him. He looked down, tracks, clawed, wide apart, deep. They circled the fire pit twice, then stopped. No start, no end. No prints coming, no prints leaving. He crouched, touched one with the back of his good hand, dry, undisturbed. He stood fast. His breath quickened. The heat was already rising. Sky lightened behind the rocks. He mounted without speaking, kicked the mule hard. It obeyed. They rode southeast toward the mesa country, toward the higher rock, toward what might hide more than it revealed. The ground blurred beneath him, sand and stone and scrub. His swollen hand throbbed. He held it tight to his side, fingers purple now, flesh puffed around the joints. The veins moved like worms beneath skin, alive. He pulled his bandana loose, wrapped the hand, tied it, tighter. The pain pushed into his elbow. He breathed through his teeth and kept riding. Hours passed. The mesas loomed ahead, red ridges burned by morning light. Dry ledges hung over dry canyons. No birds. No sound. Then he saw them, vultures, circling low, black wings against gold rock. He slowed, watched the way they dipped, something dead. Not fresh, but not long gone either. He dismounted, rifle ready, hand pulsing. He stepped through a narrow pass. The air closed around him. Hot stone pressed on both sides. He followed the slope. Below, an overturned wagon rested near the cliff base. One wheel gone. Canvas ripped. Boxes split open. Shards of glass. A broken jar of dried beans. No horses. No harness. Just drag marks in the dirt. He crouched beside the wagon bed. No signs of gunfire. No arrows. Only scattered supplies and a single hat trampled flat. Then he saw it. Blood. A trail, smeared across the stone, leading toward a dark slit in the canyon wall. No handprints, no boot tracks. Just one long line dragged. He moved closer. The blood was drying, thick in places, watered down in others, like it had soaked into skin, then leaked back out. The canyon mouth waited ahead, too narrow for the mule, too twisted for sunlight. The cowboy stepped back, looked once toward the vulture sky, then back to the blood. His breath slowed. He turned, tied the mule to a stone, checked the rifle again, loaded. One round already spent. He stepped toward the canyon entrance. Blood let in. Nothing came out. His swollen hand brushed the wall as he passed through, and the stone felt warm under his palm. He stepped into the canyon throat. The stone closed tight around him. Heat held still in the rock. His breath hit the walls and came back dry. He followed the blood. It curved left, then right, then ended. She sat cross-legged against the back wall, eyes wide, fixed, pale face streaked with dirt, blonde hair clumped against her cheeks, arms cut. Not from battle, symbols carved straight and slow into both forearms, dry blood crusted over them like ink. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't move. The cowboy paused, 1 foot forward. His swollen hand hung heavy by his side. She turned her head slightly, mouth opened. 1 sentence. She said it walks behind me always. Her eyes rolled back, then locked again. Still watching, not fear, not plea, just stillness. He stepped forward fast, reached to pull her up. She screamed, high and sharp. Her teeth sunk into his wrist. He shouted, staggered back, flung her off. She hit the ground hard, but did not stay down. She rose without her hands, legs curled under, head tilted, lips torn red. A sound came from behind her, farther back in the rock, not her voice, not wind, lower, deeper, hungrier. It echoed through the canyon walls. Stone shifted underfoot. The ground shook. The cowboy turned, ran. Boots slamming dust. Pain shot up his leg with every stride. Behind him, she began to laugh. Short broken bursts like a throat unused to sound. He didn't stop, didn't turn. Past the dried blood, past the wall scrape, past the dark slit that brought him in. He glanced once. She was crawling after him, hands bent backward, knees not touching mouth, open too wide, faster than she should move, faster than anything broken should go. He reached the narrow pass, squeezed through, scraped his elbow, left skin on stone. The sun hit his face like fire, blinded him. He stumbled forward, dropped the rifle, caught it, kept running. She shrieked behind him. The sound curved up through the rocks. Vultures rose from the ridge, circling higher now. He vaulted a fallen trunk, reached the mule, untied it fast, nearly missed the loop. She crawled into the light, arms bleeding, hair torn, laughing now. Mouth slick with blood. He kicked the mule into motion, climbed into the saddle, looked back once. She stood still again, hands loose at her sides, face slack, eyes hollow, cuts fresh. She didn't speak again, didn't move again, but her shadow stretched behind her, and it moved without her. He turned the mule east, back through the basin trail, back toward the ridge. His hand throbbed, her bite was deep. He tied cloth tight, rode harder, never looked back again. Not until the sun dropped below the red stone rim. He climbed the last ridge just before dusk. The mule fought him on the incline. He struck it once. It moved. He led it to a shallow cleft in the rock face. Stone pressed in on 3 sides. A shelter carved by heat and time. He crouched under the ledge. His chest heaved. Sweat pooled under his shirt. The swelling had reached his forearm now. The bite mark pulsed. He pulled the cloth off slow. Purple streaks ran through the skin like cracks in ice. He poured whiskey over it, bit the inside of his cheek, rewrapped it tighter. Then he unstrapped the scout's pouch from his saddlebag, opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, a handful of old Spanish coins, tarnished and heavy, and a folded map pressed between them. He flattened it against the stone floor. Dry and yellowed edges curled, but still legible. Hand-drawn lines, mountain ranges sketched in bold rivers coiled like veins. Symbols inked in red. One spot circled, far to the north of where he was. A canyon mouth, a spring beside it, around it, words in Apache. He could not read them, but beside that, a single line scratched in English. Never take the water by hand. He stared at it, not understanding, not fully. But his hand throbbed again and he believed enough outside. The sun lowered into the basin. The light turned gold, then copper, then gone. He built no fire. Tied the mule farther up the slope, pressed himself behind a low wall of loose stones, rifle close map folded against his chest. She did not come. Only laughter once. Far off, then nothing. He drifted, eyes open, then closed, then gone. Darkness filled the ridge. Somewhere in the canyon below, a dry wind moved, but did not touch him. Inside his canteen, water began to shift. No sound, just a shimmer, like breath beneath his skin. It rippled once, then again, soft, unforced alive. The cowboy stirred, turned onto his side, unaware. The water thickened, dark lines forming beneath the surface, a curve, a joint, something taking shape. The metal canteen groaned, just slightly, just enough. A finger brushed the edge of the liquid, pressed upward, then vanished. The cowboy muttered once, pulled the blanket higher over his shoulders. Still asleep, the stars came out, sharp and quiet. The canteen sat still beside him, but the water was not still. Not anymore. It watched him through the silver curve, watched the rise and fall of his chest, watched the map beneath his hand, and waited for morning. For movement, for touch. He woke to a sound he had never heard in the desert. Not hooves, not birds, not the creak of stone. Drumming, low, rhythmic, far off. It came like breath through bone. No direction, no echo, just steady. He stood. The canteen lay untouched beside him, water still, but not empty. He packed the map, tightened the rope, mounted the mule without a word. The drumming stayed just beyond the next ridge, then the next, then the next again. He rode until the sun stood full above, and the ridge opened to a flat plain of rock and dust. There it was, a field of stone cairns, each no taller than a boot, hundreds of them. Some fresh, some cracked by time, some toppled by age. He dismounted slow, tied the mule to a low stump, walked between the rows. Bone showed under some yellowed, stacked, deliberate one. Skull stared from a split cairn, mouth open, jaws spread as if pulled wide before death. He walked to the center, stopped when he saw it. A wooden cross, stuck upright in blackened soil, charred ring around it. No grass, no weed, no life, nailed to the cross. A rusted canteen, dented, split dry. He stepped closer. The canteen caught the light, reflected nothing. He turned away, knelt by one of the cairns near the edge, used a flat stone to scrape the top layer back. Bone beneath, more than one, skulls small. He lifted one carefully, the jaw hung loose, unhinged. Forced, he set it down. Stood, wiped the dust from his palms. Then he heard it. A soft shift of stone behind him. He turned fast. Hand to rifle. A cairn had fallen. Then another, rows collapsing one after the other. No wind, no sound, just weight, giving way as if touched. The air thickened. His breath held. He drew the rifle. No fire, just stillness. Then he saw it. A shape passed behind the third row, black, not solid, not smoke. It moved without force, without dust, without light. It did not touch the bones. But the bones moved. He stepped back, 1 foot behind the other. No noise from the boots, no crunch. The shape crossed again. Closer, he raised the rifle, hands trembling, fingers numb. The mule cried out, rope straining against the stone. Eyes wild, he backed farther, toward the animal. Toward the ridge behind him. The rusted canteen creaked once, metal against wood, then fell. It hit the ground and cracked in two. Water spilled into scorched earth. It hissed as it soaked in, then vanished. The shape turned. It saw him now. He ran. The rifle clutched to his chest. The cairns fell behind him. The black shape moved without step or breath, but it moved. He reached the mule, untied the rope, swung into the saddle. The mule saw it too. Its eyes flared. It screamed once, then bolted, faster than it had ever moved, not forward, not straight off the side of the ridge. The cowboy lost grip, fell backward, tumbled through dirt and stone. The world spun, stopped, spun again. He slammed into the bottom, hard, a crunch, then stillness. He did not rise. He looked down. Bone jutted from his shin. White clean, wrong blood soaked through the pants, spread fast, then slowed. He gasped, pressed both hands to the brake. Heat flooded his chest. The sun burned above. The ground shook beneath. He tore the belt from his waist, wrapped it just below the knee, pulled until his vision tunneled, tied it tight, bit down on a strip of cloth, then breathed. He could not walk. The mule was gone. Only the sound of wind now, but not real wind. Something that carried weight without air. He turned. The rope lay 10 feet off, still looped, still knotted. The mule had dropped it in panic. He crawled. One hand, then elbow, then drag. He reached the rope, tied it across his chest, looped it through his palm, used it to pull 1 foot at a time. Behind him, the ridge remained silent, but the shape had not stopped. It never stopped. He dragged himself forward, over flat stone, over broken gravel, across dry root and shallow basin. His leg caught a jag. He screamed, then kept pulling. He saw nothing ahead, only land, only heat. Then the dirt moved, a ripple. No spring, no source, just a swell of water rising through dust, like breath from a sleeping mouth. It pulsed once, spread wide, then receded. He stopped crawling, lay still, watched the water rose again. Higher, then fell. Each time it came closer, not fast, never fast, but always forward. He rolled onto his back, drew the knife from his boot, clutched it in his good hand. The map pressed against his ribs. The words marked behind his eyes. Never take the water by hand. His hand had touched it once, and now it never let go. He breathed through pain, through blood, through dust. The ripple spread again, 5 feet closer, 4-3. The ground around it did not wet. The air did not cool. It was not water now, not truly. It was waiting for him to stop moving, for him to give it a reason. He kept dragging, one pull. Then another leg, limp behind, rope burning through his grip. The ripple followed. He dragged himself across the stone until the ground dipped, a shallow cut in the rock, barely wide enough for a man, but deeper than it looked. A crack left by old pressure held open by time. He pulled himself inside, hands scraped raw, elbows trembling. One knee dragged behind, useless now. The crevice swallowed him in silence. Heat gave way to still air. The light dimmed. The sound dulled. He paused just inside, breath rattling, rope still looped across his chest, knife in his palm. No more water, no more mule. He moved deeper. The rock closed in, rough and dry, walls curved in strange angles, like something had chewed through the stone, but not with teeth. Bones marked the sides, embedded in the wall. Ancient split clean, some small, some broken. He passed them one by one, some intact, some half gone. He did not stop to count. He reached a wider bend, just enough space to crouch, just enough space to breathe on the wall. Painted in ochre and black, the glyphs began. Lines of people kneeling, arms lifted, facing a figure made of ripple and smoke. It rose from the earth. It towered above them. Its face was a blank curve. Its hands were many. He moved the torch forward. Next image, a circle of men with blades, cutting stone, binding it shut. Sealing it in next, a man holding a canteen. Eyes dark, streams of red dripping down his cheeks. He knelt too, but alone. The shape behind him returned, this time touching his back. The cowboy stared, his mouth dry, his pulse slow. He pressed a hand to his chest, felt the map folded still beneath his shirt. A sound touched his ear, soft, close. He looked up. Water dripped from the stone above. Slow, regular one, drop. Then another, each one louder than the last. He looked down. His bag was soaked. Water glistened across the leather. No pool, no puddle, just soaked. He turned his head. The wall behind him glistened. What was dry now shone as if breathed on, as if claimed. A sound came behind him. Not breath, not wind, not footfall. Just a slow slide. He turned. The crevice behind him was wet now. All along the floor, Dark streaks spread from edge to edge. Something black slid into view, long limbless. Not fluid, not flesh. It stretched forward, then pulled back, then moved again. He backed into the corner, pressed flat, knife raised. The thing paused, tilted, waited. Another drop fell from above, landed on his boot. It sank into the leather, left no mark, but the heat of it spread up through his ankle. He stayed still. The black shape eased forward again. No rush, no noise, only pressure, only purpose. And behind it, the water moved. He struck the match with his thumb, held it to the cloth soaked in oil, watched the flame catch, then rise, then race. The fire rolled through the crevice like breath, lit the soaked floor, touched the glyphs, lit the bone-lined walls in sudden orange. The heat hit him hard. Skin blistered at the edge of the sleeves, lips cracked. The inside of his mouth turned dry. The black thing recoiled, but only just. It twisted once, then stilled. He backed away. Knife still in hand, smoke filled the low ceiling. He coughed, dropped to his belly, dragged himself to the narrow slope behind. The wall pulsed with heat. The stone glowed. He climbed with elbows and raw knees. No sound but his breath. No thought but distance. He found the crack at the top, wedged his shoulder into it, pushed with everything left. Stone scraped skin. Blood marked the edge. Then he was through. He fell into daylight, rolled twice, came up gasping, eyes squinting against the sun. The air outside was no cooler, but it did not burn. He lay still, stared up, then heard it. Footsteps. Soft, slow, measured. He turned his head. She stood 5 paces away. The woman from the canyon. Her hair hung in mats. Her arms were clean now. No cuts, no symbols, only skin that looked dry as paper. She held his knife. Her fingers curled around the handle without tension. Blade pointed toward the ground. Her eyes were black. No iris. No white, only black. He pushed himself upright, one hand on the dirt, the other reaching. He held out the map, folded, worn edges, dark with blood and sweat. He did not speak, just held it forward. She stepped once closer. She lifted the knife, set it gently to his throat. The blade touched skin. No pressure, just the promise of it. They did not move. Wind passed over the ridge, lifted dust. The hole behind him smoked. The fire below had not died. It hissed now, like water poured on stone, or breath let through clenched teeth. She turned her head, looked at the hole. She stepped back from him, did not take the map, did not lower the knife. She walked to the edge. The heat pulsed again. Air shimmered, ash rose. She looked once more over her shoulder, then stepped in. No pause, no scream, no sound of dissent, just gone. The knife dropped beside the crack, point buried in the dust. The cowboy sat still, map still in hand, breath caught in the center of his chest. He did not stand, did not chase, did not pray. Only watched the smoke rise from the hole she chose to enter freely. He crawled the last 100 yards, dust in his mouth, stone scraping under his knees. The mule was gone. The sun straight above. The mission stood where he left it, cracked white walls. Shadow fixed in place. Time had not moved here. He reached the courtyard, collapsed at the arch. Breath shallow, legs stiff, blood dried in layers up to the thigh. The old man sat just as before, legs folded, hands resting open, eyes sealed with scars. He had not moved. The cowboy lifted one arm, voice broken, wordless at first, then full, a plea choked out. He asked for help, pegged, said it would not stop, said it had touched him, said he would die if nothing changed. The old man tilted his head, listened without reply, then slowly rose to his feet. He stepped down from the doorway, barefoot, silent, moved to where the cowboy lay. He said nothing. The cowboy reached out, offered the same arm, the one that had touched the water, the one still swollen, purple now, veins like black cords beneath the skin. The old man knelt, took the arm in both hands, felt its weight, nodded once. He pulled a knife from beneath his robe, small stone. Worn by time, he pressed it to the cowboy's forearm. No ceremony, no words. The blade cut clean. At first, nothing, then it poured. Not blood, not red. Black water, thick, slow coating the rock beneath it, hissed on contact, smelled of salt and rot. It pulsed as it left him, moved in waves like something alive inside his body had let go. The cowboy screamed, his spine bent backward, his mouth wide, eyes blind with pain, his whole frame shook. One leg kicked once, then locked. The old man held him in place, hand steady, blade resting now on his knee. The black water flowed, less with each pulse, slower, thinner. Then gone. Silence returned. The cowboy's chest lifted once, then twice, then fell flat for a moment. Stillness, then color returned, first in the palm, then the knuckles, then up the arm. Veins faded to gray, then red. The swelling dropped like heat from an open wound. The fingers loosened, the skin cooled. The cowboy opened his eyes, saw only sky. The old man stepped back, placed the knife in the dirt. The cowboy sat up, slow, breath ragged, one hand pressed to the healing skin. The black stain on the stone was already drying, evaporating into the dust, gone before it could be remembered. The cowboy looked to the old man, but he had already turned, already walked back to the doorway, already seated again, as if he had never moved at all. He walked alone. Boot prints left no trail. The sun pressed down. The plain stretched wide on all sides. His eyes had cleared. No swelling, no haze, just open vision under a thin layer of sweat. His hand remained scarred, veins faded to red, but the skin tight rough, like something had burned its way out and left a reminder. He walked with steady steps, no limp. The bone deep inside the leg had begun to heal. Not fully, but enough to move forward. There was no sound but the soft scrape of boot on earth. No wind, no breath from the ground. Only him ahead lay the spring, a shallow pool, clear, still cut into the basin like a scar. He stopped 10 paces from it, watched it shimmer under heat lines. It did not ripple. It did not rise. He knelt, pulled the map from his shirt, unfolded it once, twice, held it flat against the ground. The circle was there, still red, still sharp. He tore it from the rest, folded the circle inward, placed it into the dry soil at the edge of the spring. He dug with both hands, slow, careful. No part of him touched the water. He placed the map inside, covered it again, pressed the dirt firm beside the buried patch. He drew a shape in the dust, the same glyph from the wall, a figure with arms raised, a ripple behind its back, a warning marked in shape, not word. He stood, looked once more at the spring. The water did not speak, did not move. He turned from it, faced the open plain, took one step, then another, then more. He did not stop, did not look back. The sun climbed higher. Far behind him, the surface of the spring stirred. No breeze, no stone tossed in, just motion. At first, only a trickle rose, thin as thread, clear as glass. It ran across the surface, then bent upward. It pulled from the pool, rose 2 feet, then 3, took shape. Not full, not human, just the suggestion of a limb. Bent joint, dragging hand. The water held the form, wavered but did not fall. Dust blew across the plain, lifted in dry curls, crossed the pool, touched the figure. The dust passed over it, did not erase it, did not break it. The shape remained bent forward, weight shifting, surface trembling. Then it moved, not fast, not slow, just enough to begin again. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and comment on the Old Western Tales.